And USA Today has a J.D. Power survey of the best U.S. airlines for 2018. The rankings are based on 7 categories, including cost, in-flight services, and check-in. Southwest Airlines earned the top spot in the low-cost carrier category. JetBlue Airways was number 2. Alaska Airlines was number 1 among traditional carriers for the 11th year in a row. Delta Airlines came in second.
Delta's recent investments include a new look for its employees. 64,000 Delta workers debuted the collection of uniforms yesterday. It's one way that CEO Ed Bastian is working to transform the company. Delta's also investing in major renovations at California's LAX and New York's LaGuardia airports. Under his watch, Delta expanded its real-time bag tracking program.
Like that already. This year, Fortune placed Bastian on its world's greatest leaders list. The magazine noted the airline's controversial decision to end an NRA discount. Fortune called Bastian's response a template for a well-reasoned business leadership in a fragmented world. Ed Bastian joins us at the table. Hello, Mr. World's Greatest Leader. So there's so many things to talk to you about, Ed, but we just heard the J.D. Power story where Alaska's number 1, Delta's number 2. It's like that old commercial, if you remember, Avis and Hertz. Avis says, we're number 2, we try harder. You are not a number 2 guy, so what are you all doing?
Well, we continue to work hard, regardless of what J.D. Power or anyone says. We think we are number 1, and we continue to prove it. You know, we're a global airline. We operate in a little different environment than Alaska. Alaska is a great airline too. We give them kudos, but we're really close, and we're going to catch them one of these days.
The average age of a Delta plane is 17 years. That's older than others. What does investing heavily mean?
It's not the age of the plane that matters, because if you look at our reliability statistics, we're leading the industry by a large measure across every dimension. But what we're doing is we're buying a lot of new planes. We've got 65 new planes coming into the fleet this year. Next year is going to be 85.
Delta was in the news recently. You ended NRA discounts after the Parkland shooting, and then you flew some of the Parkland students to different rallies. And you said, we're not taking sides. This is not a political decision. But do the actions indicate something otherwise? It does seem like a political decision, no?
It wasn't a political decision at all. When we saw the divisive commentary coming out of the NRA following the shooting, and we saw how our brand was featured on their website because we gave a relatively modest discount, we said we couldn't have our brand affiliated with any organization that had that level of divisiveness attached to the response to the shooting. Prior to that even occurring, we had immediately reached out following the shooting to the Parkland school as a community outreach and asked the school, what can we do to help? And one of the things they said they could do to help is help transport students. So we'd already made that decision prior to the NRA decision to take the kids up to the rally to let them heal.
Why did the NRA have a discount to begin with? Do you often give discounts to different?
We have discounts for all sorts of groups, and what we've done is gone back and we're reviewing our policy, and any group that has a politically divisive nature, we're exiting those types of relationships because our brand just doesn't need to be in a political discussion.
What about the NRA response from NRA members? What has that been like?
Well, they were emotional about it. Yeah, but I can tell you on the other side of that, the people that have actually stood up and said, Delta, thank you for sharing your values and standing by your values, because you probably heard there was money attached to it too, through the Georgia State Legislature. But we're not, our values aren't for sale.
Yeah, it cost you money.
It cost us $40 million a year.
Well, that's because the Georgia legislature ended that discount, that fuel discount.
Well, they were going to give us the discount, and they decided not to once they saw the response that we had.
Looking at your first quarter earnings, Delta reported that the market fuel cost rose 20% over the last year. Is that ultimately going to be passed on in terms of ticket fares?
Well, it needs to. It's our biggest cost of business is fuel. It's up 50% on a year-over-year basis. And so fuel has moved a lot. We're seeing that in the news. We're see the impact of that in the economy. I think the current fuel environment may have gotten a little bit overheated. So we'll see how that plays out.
You and other airline executives met with President Trump at the White House. What did you want to tell him? What do you want from the administration to improve the experience in flying? Well,
one thing that we wanted was support from the government around the open skies treaties. We have some Middle Eastern carriers that are subsidized by their governments that we compete with internationally. And the administration recently enacted some restrictions and opened up discussions with the UAE and Qatar to make certain that any flying that they do in international territories is not subsidized by their government. So we did receive some good support there. The other thing we need going forward is the continued support on the infrastructure side. The more we can get government support to continue to make the investments, it's going to help all of us, I think.
Yesterday, Starbucks had special training for its employees. You are in a customer service business. Give us your sense of Delta's role, what more it should be doing, what it does do in terms of questions of implicit bias.
Well, we've had all of our employees go through bias training, and we continue to focus on that with respect to the service. We carry 200 million people a year. And when you're out there as a public brand, and we're a lifestyle brand, you have to at all times be aware of your environment, not just in the U.S., on an international scale as well.
We'll talk about that. Delta rolled out some new uniforms. Zach Posen designed uniforms with Spanx.
Sarah Blakely, we love that. How did that partnership come about? Are you wearing your Manx today?
No, I haven't.
Sarah Spanx, you know.
I know that. Sarah hasn't provided me my complimentary pair yet.
Those are coming. Those are coming.
No, we had a wonderful rollout yesterday. I was with Sarah and
it's
Zach.
Passport Plum.
Passport Plum is the new hue. We wanted a more sophisticated look. One of the things that we talk to our employees and customers about is our uniforms, while they're very traditional and very professional, don't stand out. They couldn't identify the Delta uniforms from the other competitors because they all kind of were in the mix. So we're going international. We've got a more elegant, sophisticated look. No one will miss the Delta people. Our Delta people are great. Yeah. And when you put the brand and the uniform together, they were stylish. And I was flying yesterday up here, and the women that were wearing the new, they all look great.
All right.
Awesome.
You look great too, Ed Bastian. Always good to have you at the table.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.